Welcome back to the Buffalo Commander. I'm your
What's
host,
up?
Alex, with my co-host, Kevin.
And I'm Kevin.
How are you?
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Oh, God.
No, sorry. A little bit too much.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. I like your get up, dude. It's like if the Buffalo Bills went to Saudi Arabia or Kuwait.
This is what we do, man. We hunt
okay.
dolphins in these.
Okay. Looks badass.
So,
I like it. It looks badass.
Yeah, thanks, man. That was the point, man. I wanted to look tough.
Yeah, it looks good.
I wanted to look aerodynamic when I fight.
Well, that's what, when you think Buffalo, you think aerodynamic, right?
Yeah. That's from Pineapple Express, by the way.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. Okay. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, man?
When not Kenny Powers, when Danny McBride, he's the drug dealer, they go in the house and they're like, why do you shave your armpits? He's like, I want to be more aerodynamic when I fight.
I love Danny McBride.
He's the best. He's my favorite person.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. Ready to do this.
Yeah.
So I know you and I've been, I don't even know if we have an idea of who the other one wants to pick at pick 2 for the Commanders, but we definitely wanted to talk about it because I think that's a big topic right now. Obviously, the Bears had the number 1 pick. Commanders had number 2 pick. Now, first of all, let's just assume the Commanders don't end up getting Caleb Williams because I think that's definitely in play now.
We can talk about that too.
Yeah, let's say the Bears pick him and it's on to the Commanders. Who would you pick, Alex?
So say that again. If I trade up?
No. Let's say Caleb Williams is gone. Bears pick him. It's on the quarterback. Who are you picking?
I'm going to take Drake Maye for sure. I just think he's the more sure thing prospect. I took some notes on both guys.
Yeah, because why do you think he's
relay the boat?
A lot of flaws with him. Why do you think he's a for sure thing?
So what I have here is, I mean, the obvious is there, the size and the arm strength and the mobility is there, and he's not going to outrun you like Jayden's going to outrun you. But I mean, he had like 7 or 8 touchdowns this year on the ground, in addition to his throwing. He had a down year this year. I think that's my only knock on him is he didn't regress, but they definitely they weren't as good this year, and he really didn't have his number 1 weapon, Tez Walker, until week 7, I think. So he really was kind of undermanned. And I just he fits the bill, in my opinion, on not having any real weaknesses. I mean, the one thing I'll say is this: his accuracy isn't awful, but it's inconsistent, and he gets in situations sometimes where he plays a little too safe. But then there's other times where he just tries to hose it in there when he shouldn't. So he's got kind of almost a Jekyll and Hyde thing going there, because I've seen him in games where he didn't try to win it all on his own, and he, just let the game come to him, and he get into a situation where he's not, he's not forcing the ball in, and he knows the game's on, so he plays smart. There's other times where I see him hose it in there. I'm like, dude, you should have not thrown that like Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes style.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's got the arm of Josh or Herbert or Pat. I think he's on a level with Trevor Lawrence. I think he runs the ball.
Does he have a better arm than Jayden Daniels, would you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not close.
Okay.
I'll go into Jayden here in a second, too. I figure we can both take like a minute or two and give our case, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
And then, but I do think the accuracy can be inconsistent at times. I also heard somebody on the, what's that show called in the morning? Not Grant and Danny. The
on the radio?
Yeah, on the radio. Gosh, what are they called? The something. The Junkies. Yeah. So one guy came on and compared him to Mac Jones. That was an awful comp. I don't understand where that will come from.
No,
Mac Jones.
I don't see that.
Yeah, Mac has one of the weakest arms in the league. Can't move at all. Definitely not that. I don't think he's Justin Herbert either. And I'd argue that his ceiling is higher than Jayden Daniels. We can get into why I think that later after you make your case.
You're nuts, dude.
I do think his ceiling is better than his.
You're nuts.
But that.
Hello.
That's my main two knocks is the inconsistency and the accuracy. And then the drop in production. Also, he winds up a little bit when he throws his deep ball sometimes. So instead of just the quick boom, he kind of comes, he has a hitch in it a little bit, but it gets there. But it does lead to some underthrown. I wouldn't even call them underthrown. I'd call them more lately thrown football. So instead of it getting there on the money, sometimes a guy waits on it for a tick before it gets there. That can be fixed with some timing.
Yeah.
As far as Jayden goes,
well, hold on. How about before you go to Jayden, let me talk about Drake. And then
yeah, that's fine. You do your Drake, and then we'll go both into Jayden, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, I mean, he does have a cannon, but what I see, and obviously, I think we're going to disagree on this, which I like, but I don't see his ceiling being higher than Jayden Daniels. I see him at best being a Justin Herbert, which is fine. But I just really want the home run hit. And I think that Jayden has the potential to be a Patrick Mahomes. We'll get into Jayden in a minute, but back to Drake. So, one thing I saw when I did a lot of the, YouTube videos about him, I saw somebody that was really good on the first read. He kind of, I think about Kirk Cousins. There's probably a better comp out there, but I only say Kirk Cousins because that's how Cousins is. He's really good on script, and he's really good at the line, and then he knows where to go, and he's really accurate and precise. But if it goes off script and there's pressure, Kirk Cousins terrible, and that's why I saw Drake Maye. He panics, and he has a lot of situations where like, what the hell was he thinking? Mm-hmm. He does that a lot. That's what I saw.
Okay.
He's super tall, and he can obviously scramble, but he's not a juker or anything. And I don't know how that's gonna, translate into the NFL just because he can run a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because he's a really tall, lanky, skinny dude. And plus it's North Carolina, no offense, but I kind of feel like I have a little dose of North Carolina already with Sam Howell.
Yeah, with old Sammy.
So that's how I feel about Drake Maye.
Okay.
That's all I feel about about that.
I mean, I don't know. I see. I mean, all right. So, what do you think Herbert's ranked in the NFL?
I would put him in top 15 for sure. Maybe top 10.
He's better than that. I'd say top 7.
A top 10. I mean,
at worst.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit, and it's hard to grade him, right? Because he's had a lot of issues with that. That coach Staley wasn't great, and I think it remains to be seen if he can actually be a winner, and and not get that stigma that no matter what he does, he never seems to be able to win.
Yeah.
But I would say top 10, and that's fine. But I don't know. I think we have the potential of something even better. I do. And
I don't see Drake as having a that personality type of a Herbert personally. The problem with Herbert is that his personality type is such that he is not a killer,
Yeah, he's not a killer.
He checks the ball down a lot. He doesn't take enough chances probably with his arm. He's kind of the antithesis of a Josh Allen in some ways because of that.
Okay.
And I don't see that in Drake Maye. I think Drake Maye is much more apt to throw the ball into tight windows and try to make things happen when it's not there. I agree he doesn't juke anyone out, but I'd argue that. Well, let's get into that later. I want to talk about Jayden Daniels first.
But have you seen the videos of Drake where suddenly he's under a lot of pressure and he's just like, oh God, and he throws it and it's like it was a horrible throw. It's like, why?
Yeah, but I've seen Jayden Daniels do some dumb-ish too.
Yeah.
I
said fuck
out moments.
I think you can cuss. I think you can say shit. So
I'm just trying to be the good one on the stream.
Okay. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, bro. You're trying to get us demonetized, man. We're not monetized.
All right. How tall was Drake Maye?
6'4". 6'4".
Okay. Isn't Jayden Daniels 6'4"?
We'll see if either one measures in like that.
Okay. I mean, that's what I saw that he was 6'4". And what would you say he weighs?
Oh, I think what I would guess just with the eye test, I think Drake's probably going to measure in 6'3.5" and 225. And I think that Jayden Daniels is going to be 6'2.25" and
What?
205. I think that's what they're going to
No.
measure at. That always happens. Like for instance,
I mean, you're right. I mean, maybe
Xavier Legette just weighed in or got measured in as a receiver in the Senior Bowl. He's supposed to be 6'3", and he measured in at 6 foot and 6'8". You know, like it always happens. And now he could
on the interwebs. It says that he's 6'4", 210.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But they're just you got to think about it's like wrestlers. You know, they have their build heights. You know, Arnold. Not Arnold. Andre the Giant was never 7'4". He was like 6'10". You know, it's not that extreme, but there's definitely something to that.
But you can say that for both players. So it's gonna be.
Yeah, I didn't give Drake Maye it either.
Okay,
I think he's gonna be like 6'3" and some change probably.
All right.
Hold on, my freaking dog, man.
See, he cusses. He just mutes himself when he does it.
Yeah, that wasn't cussing.
So Jayden Daniels, what do you think?
So Jayden Daniels, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
No, you're fine.
So it's going to sound like I'm doing negative, but I'm the Drake Maye guy here, so I have to give you the negative. He's going to be 24 this year. That's old. He didn't really have a truly good year until this year. He was very okay, I guess. Up until mid this year, actually, not even after the Heisman, by the middle of this year, they were talking about him being a 3rd or 4th round pick, an early day 3 guy. That's a problem for me. I think that things don't change that much. I have my own reasons why I think that's the case. I think he lacks arm strength to fit the ball into tight windows. I grade his arm out of 10, probably a 4.5 or 5. Like, it's okay. You know, like he can make the throws, but he's not going to be somebody who's going to wow you with it. He's going to have some problem fitting the ball into tight windows consistently.
Is there someone you would compare him to in the NFL right now?
Arm strength wise? Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I mean, I know it sounds weird. They both went to LSU, but Joe Burrow arm.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because I was going to give you a stylistic comp on both because he's so unique. Okay. Is that I think he has Burrow's arm strength with Tyrod Taylor's speed and mobility. Prime Taylor, not the one that we see now. Like when Taylor was at his best, that's what I think his speed's going to be like.
Okay.
I think he's mid 4.4s, mid to upper 4.4s is kind of how I grade him. I don't think he's going to be like Lamar Jackson, like they like to compare him to. Despite the arm, though, I will give him kudos. His deep ball accuracy is very, very good.
I'm just saying, I don't like the Lamar comp for that reason that you just said. I feel like Lamar's got an awesome arm, better probably than Jayden, but Jayden is, I think, way more accurate.
Yeah, he's a more advanced passer than I think Lamar was in his ball placement and things like that. I will say this: he still gets happy feet in the pocket.
Yeah.
He leaves the pocket too early. I would say the only true thing that's changed from this year to last year and the year before, and last year he played, but his receivers had not. They matriculate. They keep advancing their skill set. Is that he has 2 first-round top 20 pick wide receivers on that team, and one of them is like the reincarnation of Jamar Chase. That's a problem for me as far as like, oh, okay, all of a sudden you produce because you have this elite talent. And some of that is, and I think he's a very intelligent kid, has good leadership qualities from what I've seen in interviews and how people say it works. But there's 2 things that I see in his game that are the biggest flaws. And that's he's not reading his progressions. A lot of times he's waiting for the chunk play a lot. And he's like, where's Malik Neighbors? And if he's not open, where's Brian Thomas? And oh, nope, I'm going to run. And they're deep balls. He rarely looks at the middle of the field. He rarely tries to fit it in tight windows in the middle of the field. Maybe that's some of his arm, but also that's just some of just stylistically what he wants to do and how he wants to play, I think.
Right.
I think he has a compact release. I like his release. I think he's a good culture fit for Washington as far as like his leadership qualities. I also see that he fades in the pocket sometimes. What I looked at, I was watching. I sent you the video that kind of got it from there. I didn't realize it before, but he'll kind of go back in the pocket instead of setting his feet. He'll almost come off his feet as he's throwing, and he loses velocity that way. And a lot of times it leads to inaccurate throws below the waist, like throwing the ball throwing the ball above the waist. He's great. Throwing the ball below the waist, he's kind of a mess. Like his feet aren't set. He does a lot of that. I do not see any Patrick Mahomes in him. I'm sorry. I just don't see the arm angles and the off kilter kind of throws and things like that. I don't see any of that kind of stuff. I think he can do things because he can play off script. Don't get me wrong, but he's not going to I don't know the word for it, create off script like that. Although he'll create, he's just not going to be doing it like that. Like Pat's very unique. And so is Caleb. Caleb does the Pat Mahomes stuff, Yeah. And then I think he does zone in on his number one receiver a lot, and he lacks anticipation on his throws. I think his ceiling is fine. I think he's going to be a good player. I also think that he's a franchise quarterback, most likely. I think he's improved this year for sure.
Okay.
I personally grade him as a high second round grade, low first round grade. That's what I would, if I was like, you put a bunch of quarterbacks in a bucket and you're like, what do you want to do? That's where I would put him. Which oddly enough is where Lamar went, but I think Lamar's more dynamic than he is, in my opinion.
Right.
And better in the open field with juking people and getting by people. Although he can do that. Jayden will be a top 3 or 4 running quarterback in the league right off the bat. He'll give you that. But I don't know if that's a ceiling. Like, my question is always going to be this. What do you value more, arm or legs?
Yeah.
And who's got the better arm? I think Drake Maye does.
I think he does too. I agree.
So it's like let's say Drake's arm's an 8, his mobility's a 6. And let's say, like I said, Jayden's is a 5 arm and a 9 running the ball, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a push,
Yeah.
depending on what you want, So that's kind of how I feel about him. Anyway, go ahead, you do your thing because I'm probably gonna have a completely different opinion than you do.
Well, you're really good with the stats, and this sounds really corny, but I look at his moxie and his mojo, whatever you want to call
matters.
It.
Yeah.
And that's it, Taylor Heineke has it, like Patrick Mahomes has it. Like there's certain players, and I think in this NFL today, that's what I think we should go for. It's because you can hit a home run with somebody like that. He's Taylor Heineke has no arm, but this guy has a pretty good arm, and he's got an awareness in the pocket. And even more now that we know who our offensive coordinator is, Cliff Kingsbury.
Yep.
That guy sets everything up to really enhance and show everybody's talent and work to their talent.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it makes more sense to me to get somebody like that where you could tailor an offense for his skills, and he has a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with the receivers that he has, but can you really say that when you get to the NFL level, every receiver is good?
Yeah. It's relative.
These may end up being elite receivers, like you said, but we don't know that for sure. We have great receivers on the Commanders too, so it's not like, we don't have like elite
strength,
but we have pretty good.
And I think the receivers are relative too, right? So like maybe those guys don't pan out in the NFL, but in college, I know what they are, right?
Yeah, I think Jayden just fits what the Commanders are trying to do right now. Explosive. They're trying to emulate like the 49ers style. Obviously, Purdy is not that. So that's a bad example. But I guess they're trying to be dynamic at every position. He has the potential to be that. I just don't see that with Drake Maye. I think you're right. I think his floor is probably higher than Jayden Daniels, but I personally believe that Jayden Daniels' ceiling is higher than Drake Maye, and that's enough for me to go for it with him. Because I think it would just fit our team better.
I think you're going to have some I think that you're going to be disappointed in one way, especially in year one. When he gets there, I do believe that you're going to get into a situation where you're going to be like, well, I thought he was going to be a better thrower of the football. It's not because he can't throw. It's not because he can't throw, but I do think he's gonna avoid parts of the field that you're not gonna like. Low percentage throws deep are fine, in college they're higher percentage throws, but in the pro game, like, you can't rely on the deep ball all the time, and I do worry that he's not consistent enough at all levels yet. He could get there for sure. I think he has a good throwing motion and think he can be coached up, but I do think that you're going to get into a point where you're like frustrated with it. You're going to be very patient, where I think Drake Maye is going to come in and you're going to be like, oh God, I haven't seen that before, immediately. Now it may always look like that. You may not see like a,
what do you mean I haven't seen that before? What is he going to have?
He's going to look like a real franchise quarterback right off the bat.
Well, I think he's the guy that every year you see somebody like that in the draft and you're like, oh, he's the quarterback, but then you get him and you're like, okay,
I think he's going to end up being
special. You know,
I think he's going to be like a Trevor Lawrence type player.
Okay.
That's what I think. I mean, that's what his arm to me projects as, and I think that's what his scrambling skills look like. Maybe not quite as fast as Trevor.
And what was your comp for Jayden, Tyrod Taylor?
No, I think he's better than that. But I think his scrambling ability is much closer to Taylor.
Okay.
And his arm, not the accuracy, but the arm strength is like Burrow.
Okay.
Like, it's a very average arm. But he can make the throws. He's just going to have to play with more anticipation. The difference is, it's not really even an accuracy issue. Like, Burrow came in the league and he had elite anticipation skills, right?
Yeah.
His anticipatory skills were like Peyton Manning coming out, right? That's not what Jayden has right now.
Yeah.
I was watching film on him, and there was a couple plays where they were trying to do some intermediate, like 10, 11-yard dig routes where just a little short, you come back through, and he, instead of, you got to throw that pass before he turns around at you, right?
Yeah.
And when he cocked back, and it was like this, and then he waited until he turned all the way around, and he threw it and it was incomplete because the guy had enough time to break it. And not Jamar Chase, might as well be Malik Neighbors beat the guy so bad that he was turned the other way. He was coming this way. Another guy was facing that way, and he's 5 yards away. By the time he threw the ball and it got to him, he was already ready in there and to swat it down with a PDO. Yeah. So that kind of stuff is going to be, the windows are way smaller in the NFL, like we're talking about,
right.
And that's
a good argument, man. I'm not going to lie.
That scares me. Now, he's a better runner. If you want, he's going to give you exciting plays for sure. Right. There's no question. The question is whether you want to wait and bank on the arm developing and taking another step is the question. And I don't know it personally. As a Bills fan, if he was on the board, I don't know if I'd want to wait on that, because the arm isn't like the thing with Josh didn't have it either, but he had such a strong arm that you were like, if he's late, his arm is so strong he could just fit it in there, and you're like, it's not that scary.
Yeah.
But he's going to take chances, and nobody else has that kind of arm. So, I think the arm is fine. I want to make sure, I'd like to see him progress a little more. And we may see him at the combine. He may look great.
Yeah, we may have different opinions once we see that. I can't wait. I can't wait for the Super Bowl to be over so we can start working on that.
Yeah, free agency and draft and the combine and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait, man.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
In other news, because this is relevant, Caleb Williams, you mentioned him. I really think that there's definitely a shot now where the Commanders could move up to get him, in which case this would be a moot point, what we're talking about. So I think you and I both agree. I mean, there's Caleb Williams, and then there's Jayden, Drake, right in that same bucket.
Yeah.
Or, obviously you think Drake's better, but Caleb's on a different level, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's the best quarterback. I'd take him too. I don't like certain aspects.
Yeah, I know you don't.
He had some interview stuff last year where he wouldn't interview at the end of the year, and his dad, I don't know this person, but evidently his dad's really involved in everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he actually asked for ownership on that team. I don't really love that he's crying in his mom's arms in a regular
I agree.
game in college. Like, just seems weird to me. I don't know. I don't think he's got good character. I just think that I see some immaturity in him as a player that I'd want to vet first.
Yeah.
Before I took him. But yeah, if you have a chance, he's supposed to be generational, right?
Yeah. And you know what? Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think that he was hired for the purpose of getting Caleb Williams, because obviously it's up to the Bears. It's not guaranteed. We hired Cliff Kingsbury because he is what seems to be a great offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I'm not a big college guy, but everything I've read, people that are into college say he's just outstanding.
Yeah.
I don't think he was very successful with Arizona. If you look at the stats, it wasn't great. I know Stephen A.
Offense is fine. It's fine. I mean, it's not
whatever.
But
if we obviously are going to pick a quarterback. I know there's some scenarios where maybe we trade back or we get, Harrison Jr., but I think we're going to get a quarterback. We want somebody like Kingsbury, but it's definitely nice to know that he's got that connection with Caleb. And if Caleb doesn't want to play for the Bears, I think he's going to make that known. And do the Bears still take somebody that doesn't want to play for them? That's the question. And it means that maybe we're in play to get him. And that would be the dream to me.
All they're talking about today on TV.
I know.
All they're talking about is like, oh, he's going there. The Commanders are going to move up.
And this has probably been out there, and you probably know, Alex, but the value for that first versus second. I mean, we still already have the second. They would have the second, so they don't lose anything. But I mean, would we have to just give up a second round pick, or maybe a first
it's gonna be more than year? It's gonna be more than that.
Really?
So the more I think about it, so there's that Jimmy Johnson chart, the trade chart.
Yeah,
that's not going to apply here, because you're not only asking for, you're not only trying to beat the other teams, also trying to trade up, but you're also, because remember, New England's right behind you. They might do the same thing. You're also asking the Bears not to draft a generational quarterback, right? So it's like they're going to try to get as much as possible. I think at a minimum, you're giving up your number 2 this year, your second round pick this year, and next year's first. That's what I think it's going to cost. It could be instead of that second, be a 2026 first also. But that seems kind of far out. I don't know if they want to wait for their investment that long. They probably just take they'll probably just take your second this year because it's a high second.
Which is actually the Bears pick.
Yeah.
That they gave us. So
yeah, you give it right back, right?
Right.
So that would be and because of that, they may ask for something else. They may ask they might ask for like a fifth also or something like that.
Yeah.
So if it's me, it's worth it.
I think it's absolutely worth it.
If you love them, go get them. I mean,
yeah.
Kingsbury was also on the staff with USC last year.
Yeah. And, and Caleb Williams loves him. So,
yeah, he's made it pretty obvious. Well, not obvious. He's pulled back a little bit, but
yeah,
I wonder if he pulls an RG3 and just refuses workouts. Remember that?
Yeah.
He just, remember the Colts kept calling him and he's like, no, I'm good. Now, RG3 did it because he's like, I know I'm not going first, so whatever. Why are you bringing me in?
Yeah.
But he could pull that and just be like, just say he doesn't want to be there without actually saying he doesn't want to be there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's getting, the more I hear about it, the more I think it could happen. And I think it might happen before the draft starts. If it happens.
What might happen?
I think they may give up the pick before the draft starts, like weeks in advance. So you'll know.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Versus like the day before the draft or the day of or whatever it is. Like a lot of times the number 1 pick or number 2 pick goes in a trade. Like I remember the Jets did it in 2018. They traded that pick like in March.
Okay,
that'd be cool. You know, then
at
least you'd know.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like a wide gap between them. I mean, you can make arguments for Daniels and Drake Maye in some ways.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like Caleb Williams was lighting the world. I mean, he was good this year, but
I mean, the great feeling is I feel like if it's any one of those three, I'm going to.
You're good.
That's what I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
I'd be happy with all those guys as your future franchise quarter. They're the only real 3 first-round picks. The other guys aren't, you know?
Yeah. Imagine if this year all this was happening and we had like Kenny Pickett to talk about.
Oh gosh. That was an awful year. That was an awful draft year to watch.
It really was.
It just made you realize we didn't even need a quarterback. And I was like, this is boring. There's no quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know? Takes away from the fanfare a little bit, you know?
All right. Well, I feel like you might have won this round, buddy.
No, I just think it's a difference of opinion, man. I thought you made good points. I think you value the off script stuff more. And I think those things matter.
Right.
But also, I think that when you compare them, we're not talking like Drake Maye's like Tua here or Brock Purdy. Well, Brock Purdy's actually pretty good off script, actually. So just Tua. We're not talking about that kind of player either, you know?
Yeah.
So I think Drake can do some things off script, but he's probably more off script like Herbert. Like Herbert's not really an off script player, you know?
Right.
He'll do it occasionally. So that's probably where the comp comes from, and they both wear the number 10.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think it's I don't think there's anything wrong with people wanting that, you know?
Right.
So also real quick, we'll probably do I did a mock draft. I'm going to continue to do those through the off season. But I'd like to do them with you, and then maybe also some as a panel with like 4 or 5 people on. So if anybody sees this, Facebook, YouTube, want to be a part of it, put in comments. We'd be more than happy to have you on. You'd get your favorite team, whoever that is. We'll probably go all the way into the Commanders' second pick. So there'll be 2. And it'll make it a little more, since they're in the very top of the second round, like, why not, you know?
Right.
And it shouldn't go too long. I mean, we can do trades and stuff too, but I think it'll be fun to have a couple people. I know a couple that want to do it for sure. My buddy Derek, who's been on before.
Yeah.
And maybe another couple, but yeah, I think that'd be cool. And then as things progress, this is going to be more of like newsworthy stuff happening soon, I think, with the free agency.
I agree.
You know? All right. You got anything else? Did you want to talk about any shows, man? You got any shows you've been watching?
No, but I did watch The Beekeeper last night. That's with Jason Statham.
Yeah.
And that was badass. If anybody haven't seen it, it's just kind of like that revenge thing where somebody dies and he's like a retired badass and he comes out of retirement and kills people because he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Great. It's amazing.
What about did you watch True Detective?
I haven't watched a new one yet, man.
Dude, you messed it up for me.
Why?
I started watching it last night and I got bored.
But we do have a new Love is Blind season coming up soon, I think on the 14th. So
I just finished the most recent one.
Valentine's Day. Well, that's old news, dude.
I know. I didn't know. I don't. My Netflix account is it's not mine. So
I got you.
I gotta get the passcode to do it because I share accounts.
Gotcha.
I shouldn't say that out loud.
And there's the new Vanderpump Rules I need to watch still. So
I'm not doing that.
Okay. No. Brian watched.
Well, I did watch Love
on the Spectrum.
Yeah, I love that dude, man. What's his name?
James.
James.
The best.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I love that guy.
I also like the one with the British accent.
The fake one?
Yeah, the fake one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one where he's at the speed dating event. He's like, he's
marking no in front of all the girls.
This can't be. Like he's really like Game of Thrones with it, you know? And they're just he's really dramatic. He does really good though at the end. I was proud of him, man. He did he called the new girl back.
That was great.
He did such a good job on the date. I felt like I was his dad. I was watching and I was like,
that's why that show's amazing. But no, back to the speed dating when he was like, "Do you like nature?" She said no, and he was like, "Up."
He did. Nope. He's real picky.
Show her face, and she's like,
and he kind of looks up and he doesn't understand why, of course.
No.
And he's like, they're like, "Are you marking no right in front of me?" He's like, "Oh no, was I supposed to do that?" He's hilarious.
That's the best show.
Yeah. I wish they'd give a better conclusion at the end of like how they went. I mean, they just kind of tell you like,
I know
these people were together, these aren't, you know.
Yeah, but that guy also you can follow on Instagram, by the way. He's on Instagram too. So.
Yeah, they're all on there. It's funny. I follow the James guy, and then I got suggestions to follow the others.
Right.
You know,
so
which is
we got the whole squad.
So yeah.
Maybe we can get them on here. I don't know.
Right. They're way too big for us, man.
Yeah, they are, dude.
Hey, we've been getting the last couple videos over 100 views. The last one we got hit 100 the other day. So
all right, good deal, man. Good.
I've compared us to some other shows that are been around more established longer than ours.
Yeah.
I have a buddy that has one that is for the Cincinnati Reds and the Bengals, and they're not our views are beating them in some videos, and then like there are other videos where they got like 300, 400, 500, which is like the next level, but it's not. Most of the videos aren't killing our viewership consistently, so I'm happy with it where it's at now.
Me too, man. Let's hope we get some more subscribers. I hope the F-bomb doesn't affect anything. I'm sorry if I offended anybody.
It'll probably suck some people in, man.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
All right. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on that note. Especially subscribe.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say it again subliminally. Put it in your head. Subscribe to the channel. We have 12 subscribers, and that's sad. So
yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Thanks, my mom, my daughters. I have 2 daughters.
Nana. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just family members. We get views from other people, but they don't subscribe or like the videos. They just watch them for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So, all right, man.
All right. Later.
See you next time.
All right.